We'll see. Is everybody ready to go? Let's proclaim the greatest radio show.
Welcome, fans, to another episode of The Spread. I'm your host, Jim Sella, in studio with J Dash, Big Easy, and JK47. We're going to keep talking baseball, keep the AL Central rolling, talking about my favorite team, the team that should win the World Series every year, and the only baseball movies that matter, the Cleveland Indians. Major League
I think
1 and
everybody
2.
here likes the Cleveland Indians, correct?
Yeah, enjoy it.
47?
I've always been a
Albert
fan.
Bell, he was awesome.
Albert Bell, no doubt.
Dude was a
Carlos
loose cannon.
Baerga.
Jim Tomei, gotta love Jim Tomei.
Yep.
Manny Ramirez played there too.
Yeah, Manny being Manny.
Wesley Snipes.
Charlie Sheen,
Tom
before he had
Berenger.
AIDS.
Who is Tom Berenger?
Well, let's look at some of their signings so far. A couple fielders. They signed outfielder Rajai Davis. He'll probably get a little bit more playing time while their star outfielder Michael Brantley returns from injury. But when he comes back, Rajai Davis will be at least a fourth outfielder. He could also possibly take over one of the other starting spots, but he could be more of a platoon player as well. They signed first baseman Mike Napoli. A lot of people in Pittsburgh were from Pittsburgh around here, wanted Mike Napoli to come in. I will say this, though. Mike Napoli struggled mightily to hit right-handed hitting, and that's the larger side of a platoon. So I think I think they should bring in Pedro Alvarez, to tell you the truth. It'd be a lot of money for Pedro and Napoli, but it would be a huge advantage for both platoons because you'd play Napoli in the smaller side of a platoon, and he does damage.
What are you talking about?
A platoon.
Pedro against righties and Napoli against lefties. That's what he's talking about.
Yes.
Okay.
But Mike Napoli, he struggled mightily last season against right-handed pitching, and really he's much better against lefties. I think it's still a good signing. I mean, they're going to be playing him against right-handed pitching, though. That is one problem I'm worried about. Outside of that, they also got third baseman Juan Uribe. This guy is old, but he's always been a solid player, and he's great defensively, actually, still. And then they brought in a lot of pitching. They brought in pitcher Ross Detweiler on a minor league deal, and then they brought in a bunch of relief here. Jabba Chamberlain, Craig Stammen, Tom Gorzolani, Tommy Hunter, Joe Thatcher. I mean, who's busted here? Jabba Chamberlain? Nah, he's a solid arm. He's not going to be at the back end of the bullpen or anything, but he's a guy that can eat up some good innings for you, I believe.
Is he still fat?
He's large.
He's big boned.
Jabba the Hutt.
And I can't even believe Tom Gorzolani's still alive.
Tom Gorzolani. Yeah, he's not the greatest pitcher in the world either. I mean, he's not going to see
pick for the Pirates.
He's not going to see 70 innings or anything.
He's actually been.
Because he's getting paid to pitch in the major leagues.
Yeah, I know. Retire, Tom. Give it up and go sit on a beach, dude. For real.
Oh, look, since they brought in Uribe, they released third baseman Chris Johnson. They gave that guy a pretty long opportunity to grab that third base job, and he did have that one huge season. He hit over 300. He did everything well, but outside of that, I mean, he really went downhill from there, and he just couldn't cut it. They lost Mike Avias, a very good utility player for him, can really play anywhere, including outfield and infield, and they lost relief pitcher Ryan Webb, but like I said, they added a bunch of relief pitching. And unsigned right now is outfielder Ryan Rayburn and starting pitcher Gavin Floyd. So those won't be big losses for him either. I mean, Avias is probably, to me, their biggest loss, yet he is not really a starter.
Is Terry Francona still up there?
Terry Francona?
The manager?
I believe so, right?
Thought so.
Yeah.
47, you know better about those managers than I do.
Everybody loves Terry Francona.
That's because he chugs beer.
So you take a look at this team, and the big question offensively is the outfield. You got Lonnie Chisenhall in right field, another guy that played some third base for you, really didn't cut it there. They put him in the outfield. He has some pop. He had some good stretches in the past, but I'm not sold on Lonnie Chisenhall being a full-time starter. I mean, they also got Colin Cowgill out there as a fourth outfielder, or not even a fourth outfielder, a fifth outfielder actually, because you got Rajai Davis. Then you got Abraham Almonte in center field, a guy that really doesn't do too much for me offensively, but he's a pretty good fielder. And then, like I said, Michael Brantley, when he comes back, I think this is the most underrated player in all of baseball. He's one of the best players in baseball, in my opinion, and nobody really gives him the credit of it. But until then, Rajai Davis should be playing more often. But once Brantley comes back, I still have questions about the other two outfielders, and I think they're going to want to play Rajai Davis as much as they can, because really I think that guy has good value when he plays. He's always been a good hitter. Like I said, though, he's more of a platoon type player. He's never going to play every single day. So that's their questions. But then I look in the infield. You have options at third base. Like I said, you brought in the veteran Juan Uribe, always plays excellent defense and is very good with the bat some years. Some years he's even excellent with the bat. So we'll have to see how that turns out. But, I mean, if it doesn't work out with him, you have plenty of options out here, including Giovanni Urshela, a guy that had some action last year, hit very well in the minors, but didn't come up too big last season. But I still think he has some progression to go. And he still has a chance to become a very good ball player. We'll have to see how much playing time he gets this season, though. There's actually a chance he doesn't even stay on this 25-man roster. But I also like Jose Ramirez, and if he could play third base, I really like that. I mean, he's not a guy that gives you a ton of pop, but he has a little bit, and he has speed, and he hits for a good average. At least he did in the minors. I mean, this guy, he didn't hit very well last season. I think he did go on a stretch where he hit well, but he got to put it together. This guy has always been a 300 type hitter, and if they could get that out of him, it would be huge. And then they got this guy in the minors, though. This is the guy I actually think is going to take over third base this season. Yandy Diaz, a Cuban defector. He's 24 years old.
Cuba!
He actually defected last season, I believe it was. He got 495 at-bats between AA and AAA last season, hit 309 with a 403 on base. Look at it, 78 walks compared to 70 Ks in those 495 at-bats. So he doesn't strike out too much. He walks a ton. So this guy's going to have a huge on-base percentage if he can show this in the big leagues. Now, he doesn't have too much power, too much speed. He's just one of those sort of like a Matt Carpenter maybe. Outside of last year, Carpenter came up with power out of nowhere last year. But that's what I see in Yandy Diaz before last year out of Matt Carpenter, a guy that just hits the ball and gets on base a ton.
Well, what's he going to do if Trump gets elected? If he's a Cuban defector, isn't he going to get deported?
That's a good question.
We got relations with Cuba, remember?
But, I mean, that doesn't mean much, man. You have relations with a lot of countries that if you're going to shut down the borders, man, you can't make really exceptions for that kind of stuff. Now, if they're already here, he might let it slide, but I could see him shutting down the Cuban defector thing.
Fans, tune in for the Spread Political Report coming to you soon.
Trump going to hit baseball hard.
All right,
no Cuba.
Then at the other corner position, we mentioned Mike Napoli. Like I said, he really doesn't do a good job of hitting right-handed pitching, although he will come up with the occasional home run versus him. But they also got Carlos Santana that can step in there every once in a while. And Aguilar, Jesus Aguilar, I don't know what they want to call him.
It's not Jesus.
It's I didn't think it was Jesus. It's probably Jesus. You're right. But look, this guy in the minor leagues, he showed upside. He had some decent power. He hit for a good average and everything. They never really expected that to carry over to the major leagues, though, and it really hasn't yet. So there's questions of whether or not he's going to be able to stay on his team or not. But then the middle infield, one of the best middle infields in all baseball, in my opinion. 47, why don't you mention these guys?
Francisco Lindor and Jason Kipnis.
Yes.
Kipnis rebounded nicely last year. Had a pretty bad 2014 season.
He's a guy that's streaky, though, too. He goes on long stretches of playing bad baseball. But then when he's playing good, I mean, he's playing like one of the best players.
He was definitely hurt a little bit towards the end of the year, too. Right. I mean, that curtailed his production a little bit late, but the emergence of Lindor, Lindor absolutely tore it up at one point or another. I think he was
all season pretty much. Well, he came up, and then for a month he really didn't hit at all, then he just went on a tear.
I think I read somewhere that he actually was the youngest player ever in a month or something like that to hit 400 in a month, like being. I
believe it. When he was in the minor leagues, I kept saying, everybody was talking up Carlos Correa's offense, and I said, don't sleep on Lindor. I know he's not doing it right now, but he was pushed through the minor leagues really fast. He's still a very, very young player. He hit in the lower minors, didn't hit as well in the upper minors, but he was still so young compared to everybody else. And as soon as he hit the bigs, he showed it. Now, I don't expect what he did last year. I think he hit like 330-something. He might not even hit 300. 290, though, even 290. He had double-digit home runs last year, double-digit stolen bases. This guy is going to be a beast. He sort of reminds me of Michael Brantley, really. And those two guys are really my two favorite players on this team.
No Jordy Mercer for Cleveland.
No, Francisco Lindor is a monster.
Where's Jordy Mercer?
Where is it?
Still
Pittsburgh.
Why are you talking about him going to Cleveland?
I'm just hating on him, that's all.
I don't want to hear it.
Then at catcher, Young Gomes. Terrible season last year. The prior season, though, he had a big season, and everybody thought he was going to break out and be a top 5 catcher. He really took a step back last season, but I still think this upside's there, and he can come back with it. And I think Young Gomes is going to have a good season, a bounce-back season.
Wasn't he hurt at one point, too?
He may have been injured here and there, but when he was in, I mean, he was.
I mean, I know he wasn't that good last year because they were expecting big things from him going into the season last year.
Yeah,
I mean, it'd be nice to see him pick it up. I mean, if he does, I mean, it can pick up some of the slack until at least Brantley can get back.
right.
And I'll tell you what, I mean, there is potential with the bats on this team. I mean, having Lindor over a full season is going to help.
Yes.
If Gomes has a breakback season, that's going to help. Santana, I mean, you'd like to see him bat a little bit better than the high 220s he did last year.
Yeah, that's their DH starting the season.
So he still draws a lot of walks.
A ton. So, like, if this guy hits 220, it really doesn't matter because he's getting on 35% of the time anyways, and that's just as good as people that hit 280 and get on 35% of the time. I mean, he's still getting on. He still hits the home runs. So, I mean, Carlos Santana's still, I mean, he's still young, too. This guy's been around a while. And he's still pretty young. He's in his prime right now. So I expect big things out of Santana this season as well. And then he moved to the rotation. And the top 3 in this rotation may be the best in the American League. Corey Kluber, Carlos Carrasco, and Danny Salazar. That might be 1A, 1B, and 1C, really.
Believe it.
Well, Carrasco brings no-hit stuff to the ballpark anytime he touches the ball. I mean, he's prone to be a wild a little bit, but I'll tell you what, I mean, whatever he's on, I mean, he's nearly unhittable.
Kluber's a beast, too.
The back end, I mean, there's
like
questions.
Kluber.
Trevor Bauer, this guy was supposed to be not necessarily an ace, a top end of the rotation type pitcher at one time too, but he's never really turned into that as of yet. But at the back end of the rotation, I really don't have a problem with it. And then Cody Anderson, he showed his upside as well, although I prefer him to stay back at the back end of the rotation. He's more of a number 4 or number 5 to me. But I do like Cody Anderson too. So this 1 through 5, I'm happy with. The one I like the least, though, is Bauer, actually, to tell you the truth. But a couple other pitchers they have here in the minor leagues, 2 24-year-olds. Mike Clevenger, he had Tommy John a few years ago, but he had a 2.73 ERA, 145 Ks compared to 40 walks and 158 innings pitched in Double-A last season. So you might see, if he can pitch well in Triple-A, you could see him coming into the back end of this rotation. And Adam Plutko as well, a guy that came from UCLA. Like I said, he's 24, a 2.39 ERA, 137 Ks compared to just 28 walks and 166 innings pitched. So, I mean, he doesn't K a ton of people, but his K to walk rate is outstanding. This guy has excellent control, and he pitched between A advance and Double-A last season. So you could see him start in Triple-A and maybe find himself in the rotation at some point this season. If not, maybe it's 2017 for these guys. But a relief pitcher they have in the minors as well. He's 25 years old. He had a 2.25 ERA last season. Sean Armstrong, 11 Ks compared to 2 walks and 8 innings pitched in the major leagues. So he got a little bit of time, and I mean, he killed it in the majors, and they're actually counting on this guy to be a big part of their bullpen this season. I already mentioned Yandy Diaz at third base, and 47, you mentioned Clint Frazier before, him and his huge power. We're not going to see him this season. Bradley Zimmer, probably not either, maybe 2017, but we do have questions about this outfield. So you may see Bradley Zimmer this season. He's 23. In A advanced, he hit 308 with a 403 on base last season. But in Double-A, he hit 219 with a 313 on base. Still, he had 16 home runs and took 55 walks and had 44 stolen bases between the 2 levels. So this guy, I mean, he has huge upside, but he got to hit in Double-A before they think about moving him up to Triple-A, I think, because this is a prime prospect, and they really want to make sure this guy is on the right page when they move him up to the big leagues.
Well, I mean, I'd like to think that if these guys ride a hot bat into the middle to the end of the season, I'd like to think we'd see at least 1 or 2 of them.
Especially these guys here,
I mean,
Yandy Diaz, I mean, we have to see him this season. I wouldn't see it any other way. But Bradley Zimmer, I don't know, man. It all depends on how these outfielders do. Is Lonnie Chisenhall going to hit or isn't he? If he doesn't hit, I could see them trying to move Zimmer a little bit quicker than they want to. But they also have this 24-year-old Tyler Naquin they could give a chance to at least. He hit 300 with a 381 on base between Double-A and Triple-A last year. He has speed. He can take a walk, and he can play defense. So
he was another high draft pick, wasn't he?
I don't remember where he was drafted. He's actually not a top prospect or anything, man. He's just a guy I found that produces, you know what I mean? I look through all these guys, and when I see a guy producing, I follow him and see if they keep producing. And this guy, he produces, so maybe he gets a shot before these big-time prospects in the outfield there. And I kind of expect him to get some time in the big leagues this year as well. So they got some decent prospects in the minors that we could see this season. Obviously, there's more, but I'm only mentioning the ones that have a possibility this season. Like I said, Clint Frazier, I really don't believe we're going to see him this season. But let's move on to the bullpen here real quick. The back end, I love it. I mean, Cody Allen is a beast. He's one of the top relievers. I mean, he had a down stretch last season. They were talking about maybe he could be taken out of the closer role. I never believed that. I think Cody Allen's a top 5 closer.
Well, keep this in mind. This is a team that struggled mightily out of the gate last season, too. Like, I mean, the whole team had a down first half. They actually, to a point last year, at one point towards the middle of the year, actually were looking good going into the All-Star break.
Well, didn't they take it right down to the end of the season, I believe?
Well, they were getting there. I mean,
once Lindor came up, man, they went on a tear.
Oh, but I mean, I like Cody Allen at the back. I like Zach McAllister. He's been a good, serviceable bullpen guy.
Well, look, Sean Armstrong I already mentioned. Like I said, he only pitched 8 innings or whatever, but he dominated. They're expecting big things from him as well. And all these guys I mentioned they brought in, the Detweiler, Chamberlain, they also have Daniel Otero and Tom Gorzolani they brought in, Joe Thatcher. So they really build up this bullpen. Not that any of these guys are stars, but they can all eat up innings. But this Jeff Manship as well, man. Did you see this guy? I think he's the one. He never had an ERA under 5 for like 6 seasons or something. And then last season with Cleveland, he had an 0.92 ERA, and he pitched the most innings he ever pitched in the bigs. This guy straight dominated last season, came out of frickin' nowhere. So, I mean, they're expecting good things from him as well. I mean, you can't. Relievers are hard to trust because you can see one big season and then the next year they just fall apart, and it could go the opposite too. I mean, look at the Pirates with Mark Melancon. That guy, nobody was really high on him when he was with Boston. He comes over to the Pirates, and now he's one of the best closers in baseball. But this Jeff Manship, he just come out of nowhere. So they have some pieces here. I mean, maybe Manship falls apart, but they added enough in their bullpen through free agency where I think they'll be all right.
You're saying the Manship might spring a leak and sink?
It's possible. So what are you thinking about this team this season, man?
I'll tell you what, I think Trevor Bauer is going to have a good season this year.
You like Trevor Bauer?
A lot of his problems are pinned to his control. You know, you've seen him whenever he's controlling his pitches well. I mean, he could be as unhittable as anybody else.
We've seen it.
He has good stuff. You know, I mean, 1 through 4, I love this rotation. I mean, Cody Anderson, I mean, could be solid. I mean, but backing him up, Josh Tomlin, so you have a nice insurance policy right there. I think the offense is going to be improved this year. I mean, you're looking at bounce-back seasons from Gomes. Napoli's looking to do better than what he did last year. Santana, you will still have. Brantley's going to be back eventually. And
hopefully sooner rather than later. Hopefully it's April. It could be May.
I mean, but I love Lindor and Kipnis up the middle, though.
Yeah, like I said, one of the best middle infields in all of baseball. I think that Yandy Diaz is going to come up, and he's not going to be a spectacular player or anything. He's just going to be a guy that quietly gets on base a ton. And I think Napoli does enough in the power department where his low batting average isn't going to be terrible for you. The only questions I have is in the outfield here with Almonte and Chisenhall. But with what I see with this rotation, I think that makes up for those spots. And I'm saying Cleveland Indians first place.
Yeah, me too.
Spot on. That's where I was.
They're due, and they just missed it last year.
No, you guys know my fourth
because of
place
their
team.
horrible start, though. Like J.K. said, they started horrible last year and still came on, and they're just going to ride that momentum.
I just really like this pitching staff. That's why I'm going to go with them first overall. I think people aren't going to score. Francona's going to manage his ball club. He's going to do it well like he always does. He's going to get the most out of his players this year.
That's the most important part, Jeff.
I don't know. I mean, I'd have beer in my clubhouse if it enhanced team morale.
I mean, yeah, there's always the chance if you make it to the deadline and you're in this race, you can go out and get a center fielder if you need one or a right fielder, and then your offense looks much better by that point.
You know, I like the addition of Rajay Davis too. You know, he's going to be a good fourth outfielder for him. I mean, even if he could do half to 3/4 of what Brantley did.
Well, he has a ton of speed, so that's one plus right there. Even when he's on the bench, you can bring him in and get a stolen base out of him, get an extra run in that game or whatever.
But, yeah, I'm going with first.
First place all
Spread
around.
sweep.
Spread
Yeah,
sweep,
spread
first
sweep
place.
on
We love the
Cleveland.
Cleveland Indians here, apparently.
I do.
Believe
No
it.
disrespect to
It's their
Kansas
year.
City.
They're so
You
due.
did it big.
Well,
Yeah, Kansas City's, they're done. They're going to need to relax.
They're done. I wouldn't say they're
I
done.
don't think they're going to be done. I
Well,
mean,
they're not in the playoffs this year.
they might squeak in the wild card.
Nope.
This is what
Bold
I don't,
spread, bold.
But this team right here to me,
statement.
Bold
Spread
prediction.
bullshit.
this is the dark house team. I mean, I just said in the last segment, this is one of the
Spread
two teams in
diamond
this division I could see winning 90 games.
Yeah, I think they could definitely win 90 games. I wouldn't be surprised if no one in baseball won 90 games either, though, man. There's a lot of tight baseball going on this season, I believe.
I mean,
Tight like a
I'm
tiger.
predicting bounce back seasons for some of these guys, but I'll tell you what, if they don't hit, they can finish last in this division.
What's stupid? Nobody will win 90 games. I'm not saying nobody will. I'm just saying, I mean, everybody's predicting the Cubs to just go out and win 100 games this season. I mean, it's possible. I'm not saying it's not. But I would not be surprised if the division winner in the NL Central won 90 games this season. 89 games. It wouldn't surprise me at all.
Oh, I mean, it'd be interesting to see what Arrieta's going to do for an encore. I think we're all waiting for that one.
Yeah, I think the thing with him, well, we'll talk about him in the Cubs segment more, but I think you have to expect a decline just because he was so great that you can't repeat that almost. But he could still be an ace. But that's it with the Cleveland Indians. Everyone's saying first place.
If it wasn't offensive to do the chop and the Indian sound, I'd be doing it right now.
Yeah,
Offensive to who?
Indians.
Yeah.
Where are they?
Native Americans.
Have you ever seen any?
Have I ever seen a Native American?
Yes.
So should
yes,
they
in
be
my
called a
life, I
Cleveland
have
Native
seen a Native
American?
American.
Where?
Out in public. It's not like they're just not
In
around
what?
where I
Western
live.
Pennsylvania?
Yeah, I mean, it's not like I've
no.
been.
Yeah, they're out there. man.
Nope. You've seen one too?
No.
Yeah.
You're talking like
Jeff, have
these
you ever
people
seen
are
one?
like
Yeah.
mythical creatures.
Yeah, I've never
They're
seen
just
one.
the
They're out
regular
there.
people.
I think you people are tripping. You've never
Wow.
seen one.
What do you mean, man?
They're not in Western Pennsylvania.
They're everywhere, man.
losing it. Easy's losing it. He's stopped at dogs too many times.
Oh, so they're the Illuminati. They're everywhere, huh?
Yeah, they run it.
Fans, any questions or comments, hit us up on Twitter at bet_the_spread. Hit me up on Twitter at betjimtowin. Check out the Facebook page at facebook.com. We'll post some Illuminati or Native American stuff, depending on how we feel for the day.
Hey, they probably run your favorite casino.
They might. Keep coming back to our YouTube page, youtube.com/betthespread, and keep on winning.